Welcome to a completely unnecessary podcast, Super Show.
Super.
For Tuesday, August 20th, 2024. You know what today is the anniversary of? No. I've been in San Diego 15 years today. I just realized that it was August 20th, 2009.
Shit.
Wow. Anniversary. I'm glad to be in San Diego, or else I wouldn't have met my co-host and pal, Ian Ferguson.
That's right. I'm almost at 19 years. September 14th.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yes. On the show today, we'll be talking about an auction for a certain NWC gold. We'll be talking about a new Atari console. What? Another one? And also the GameStop buffoonery with Game Informer shutting them down. That happened a week and a half ago about at this point. And other stuff. It's been about 5 weeks since we last met here, Ian. You missed the podcast?
Yeah, it's
keeps you going, right?
I missed doing the panel in
Long
Island, particularly. I used to be very nervous about panels, but I like doing them now. So that was genuinely a bummer.
You hurt your foot.
Yeah, but I've been in Hatch Chili Land for the past 5 weeks.
Okay.
Well, not 5 weeks. Since the beginning of August. I have purchased, since August 3rd, I have purchased 75 pounds of Hatch chili peppers.
That sounds like a lot of pounds.
It is. I bought 25 pounds of mediums.
Which was to bring me a casserole?
The casserole's not been made. However, there is in your freezer, there's a bag of frozen Hatch chilies. And in your fridge, there is a smaller bag. I chopped up like 4 of them. So those are ready to go into your food, on your burgers, sandwiches,
salmon?
Pizzas, salmon, anything. Yeah.
Interesting. So thank you so much.
So those are chopped and cleaned. And then the other ones are frozen. And all you have to do is rinse the skin off.
Rinse the skin off?
Yeah. So when you buy Hatch chilies, especially in the cartons like I do. Basically, the growers from New Mexico will come to San Diego and they set up in front of various grocery stores. Uh-huh. And what you do is you go and you pay for your case and they throw it in a big drum roaster. It's like a big mesh tumbler.
Okay.
And they turn it on and it just starts spinning and there's flames underneath. So they just roast them. And then they dump them in a plastic bag and tie it and put it back in the box so it steams the skins off.
Okay.
Or it starts to steam them. So when you use them, you just kind of take your hand and go, and all the skin comes off.
From like the top, you just go like that and it comes off?
You just take your hand and wipe the pepper down and all the skin comes off.
So you don't want pepper skin on this?
A little bit is fine, but no, that's the whole point of roasting it, is in general, it's to get the skin off because it's tougher. So you're left with the tender, flavorful insides.
Okay.
So you peel the skin off and then you just chop them up and put them on anything.
You just go like, okay. You gotta
grab the pepper from the top.
Okay.
And if you need to, you rinse it under water a little bit.
Okay.
But the ones, like I said, there's a bag of
ones that are ready
chopped,
to go?
cleaned, ready to go ones.
Ones you already fingered are ready for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wash my hands. You will. Next time I make that casserole, you'll get some. But I didn't have time to make it.
That can be your bet payoff meal.
Yeah, that's right. It was really good too.
Okay, it's great. Hungry, intermittent fasting. You're killing me here. Jeez, we just started. I played Doom 1 and 2 Enhanced came out.
Oh yeah, it's great.
It counts as a modern game. I played it. Not really, but it's a package. Like the ultimate, like this should be the last time they offer a Doom collection of the original games. It should be.
So yeah,
as everything that came out retail originally, including the extra "Thy Flesh Consumed" from Doom 1, from Final Doom, and all the extra
Ultimate
stuff.
Doom, I believe. I'm trying to remember which one was which. I think Final Doom was the one that had just the expansions. And Ultimate Doom doesn't matter. The game's got. You might be right.
I bought Final Doom. It had two or three extra campaigns along the real game. Either way, this has every official release campaign from Doom 1 and Doom 2. It has all the modern official ones like Sigil that we talked about in the podcast a few years ago that Romero did himself.
And Sigil 2 is available too through the mods.
So it has all this extra stuff. It has
a new episode added to Doom 2 that adds new weapons and demons.
Oh, which is that in the regular menu or is it under the?
It's in the regular menu. It's
okay.
Legacy of Rust. It's the last thing.
So it has all this stuff. Has an easier multiplayer system for online for deathmatch or co-op mode. I was a little disappointed by co-op mode because it's literally just get through the levels with someone else. There's not like extra campaigns or stuff like that, or extra I'm sure people might make their own maps.
One of the ones that was added, so one of the official releases that was added or counted as official is a campaign designed for co-op.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that. When I was going through the server, it was all people just doing regular stages. That was just like the same stage, but now you have 2 or more people doing it. And no team deathmatch. I hope someone adds that to the official thing. That would be very cool to do that. But no, it's there's 16:9 or original ratio. There's a new, you can do the new remastered soundtrack or the original in the audio settings.
The IDKFA soundtrack is really good.
Who did it?
It's called the IDKFA recordings.
IDKFA.
I can't remember who did them. I should look it up.
Which is what the code, the cheat code.
And those Doom ones have been out there, but they're now considered like official.
Official canon,
the ones that they
combat.
did for Doom 2 are, I believe, new to this release.
So they released this. If you already own this on Steam or the consoles or GOG, where I own Doom 1 and 2 forever, it was a free upgrade. Free upgrade. Well, it's Saints in this day and age for that. They could have recharged if they want to, but no, it's like we're not going to make you rebuy the same game for 8 times. You know, just get everything you ever would want for Doom or Doom 2.
Andrew Hulshult is the composer who did the
remaster, whatever, orchestrator.
Yeah, the new sound.
It asked me when I first installed or booted up if I wanted to hear that. I guess I can go back to the audio options and reach.
Oh, the audio options are great because it's got original MIDI synth, FM synthesis.
Oh, really?
And yeah, so there's a couple different ways you can listen to the original soundtrack, or you can use the new one. And the new one's great. It is. It's phenomenal.
And this was the first time, believe it or not, this is the first time ever I played Doom with a mouse and keyboard ever. Because growing up, I used either just a keyboard or I used my graphics gamepad. You know, back then I'm sure I even strafed that much back in '93. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to remember how I actually played it, but I did not use WASD in a mouse. I did not do that back then.
I used to up until I got the Switch versions of Doom 1 and Doom 2, I always played Doom straight keyboard.
Straight keyboard?
With
a shift strafe?
Shift strafe, yep.
Yeah, it was great. I played multiplayer. I pwned some noobs, which that phrase didn't exist back then yet. But no, it was great. I got Bloodlust. I streamed it, twitch.tv/CountryCode. I did a rare games stream. And I wiped people out. I won like 5 or 6 games, first to 30 kills. And it was so satisfying, double shotgunning people to death. Like, that weapon changes so much being in Doom 2. Like, whole other strategy, risk reward of the time to load and discharge the double shotgun for the damage.
Both shotguns in Doom, the single barrel and the super shotgun, are like 2 of my favorite feeling weapons in a video game.
Really? Even the original?
Oh, I love the original shotgun. I love the super shotgun, but the original shotgun just feels great too.
Oh, sure. And they had a great time playing it. So yeah.
Yeah. So we've got a little bit of a good story here. Procreate, which is an art application.
What a name!
Yeah,
Procreate. Jesus.
That I believe is most popular on the. Yes, it is. Okay, I'm not sure where else it is, but it got very, very popular on the iPad. Their CEO came out and said something that was quite frankly fucking refreshing. And if you go to the Procreate website, it just says
the
right
text
here,
version, basically.
AI. It just says AI is not our future. Creativity is made, not generated. And round of applause. I mean, we're starting to see. Well, I think the public, we always saw it, but the public is starting to see the cracks in this AI scheme, and how it's falling apart. You're starting to see that in stock prices and things like that.
Less investment money going into the stuff already than it was before a year ago.
This might be, this is a good time, I think, for a CEO to come out and say that about their program when, the other companies in this space like Adobe, they're leaning heavily into the AI.
The new commercial that came out, I think originally earlier this year for the Photoshop was all pushing generative AI with a little girl saying, "Oh, create a pony here," and draws it. No, with wings. And like, you're stealing, little girl, when you're telling it to make you a unicorn. It's based upon other people's art that has to train the Photoshop program before it computates it, it uses so much fucking energy somewhere in order to spit out the options for you.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what Photoshop is designed for.
No.
For creating.
So, I mean, I know this isn't really like in our wheelhouse necessarily, but we do talk about AI, and it's worth mentioning. It's worth saying kudos.
Well, let's not pull any punches. He put out a video on Twitter, and also this is on the website. Generative AI is ripping the humanity out of things, built on a foundation of theft. The technology is steering us towards a barren future. We think machine learning is a compelling technology with a lot of merit, but the path generative AI is on is wrong for us. We're here for humans. We're not chasing a technology that is a moral threat to our greatest jewel, human creativity. Bravo, Procreate, even though it's an awful name for a program. There's not even a space in between. It's just one word, procreate. That means to fucking have offspring, procreate. Anyway, good on you, Procreate. That name every time. Okay, what's next here?
You had something you wanted to say about Bungie and the CEO.
Yeah, so this is a bad story from a good one. I should have ordered these differently. So we had a bunch of more layoffs. This is from Rock, Paper, Shotgun. This came out the end of July. And originally we're going to talk about this because now you have major layoffs happening every week in the gaming sector. But I want to talk about what the CEO says here. Let's see. Where does he start here? CEO Pete Parsons gave a compressed account of how Bungie have ended up in such dire straits. For over 5 years, is the quote from the CEO. For over 5 years, it has been our goal to ship games in 3 enduring global franchises. To realize that ambition, we set up several incubation projects, each seeded with senior development leaders from our existing teams. We eventually realized that this model stretched our talent too thin, too quickly. It also forced our studio support structures to scale to a larger level than we could realistically support, given our 2 primary products in development, Destiny and Marathon. Additionally, in 2023, our rapid expansion ran headlong into a broad economic slowdown. A sharp downturn in the games industry, our quality missed with Destiny 2, Lightfall, and the need to give both the final shape and the Marathon time needed to ensure both projects deliver at the quality our players expect and deserve. We were overly ambitious. Our financial safety margins were subsequently exceeded, and we began running in the red. Okay. This is a well-detailed, not mincing words about, hey, this is what we did, and we went a little over our skis here and what we were planning versus what we could support at our company, and we did too much, and we misread the market. So here's the problem. They laid off 220 people. How many of those were the planners that made these decisions that basically ruined the concept of the company and ran you off the rails? And that's the problem I have with someone like the CEO. Because they're protected when it's their decision that got you into this mess to begin with.
Yep, they fucked it up and now you pay.
That's why I wanted to cover this. These people that have to support these new projects that you couldn't sustain and shouldn't realize you couldn't have sustained because you even said you went beyond your safety margins. So you took a risk. You took a business risk and it failed spectacularly. And your ass is not on the line most of the time when this happens.
Nope.
You should be gone. Decision makers should be gone, and that's the problem. They're usually the safe ones. Well, we messed up. Now we got to fire 200 plus people because of it, because we grossly mismanaged the business.
Also, what are those financial safety margins?
Sure, but even they admit they misread them.
Sure.
But yes. It's like the same thing with all the with the housing crash that happened. Even though it's not the same sort of thing, a lot of them took on these companies that were investing in these awful mortgage properties. They went well beyond their safety margins or how much risk they could take on in these companies. But they didn't care because they thought, hey, we're making a ton of money. Nothing can go wrong. Things can always go wrong in business. Always. Sometimes you have to be a little more conservative. And not just, we gotta ramp up all gaming. Ian's gonna be trending up forever. The line can only go up.
Well,
right?
I mean, going back to it, it was just this whole unexpected. It's like, no, it wasn't unexpected. Every fucking company in the world just decided to pretend like the COVID bump was never going to end.
Sure. Let's see. Bungie's remaining 850 or so on staff will now focus development efforts entirely on Destiny and Marathon. The latter is a PvP and loot-focused reboot of the shooter that established Bungie as an FPS developer to watch prior to Halo Combat Evolved. All right, that's why I want to bring it up. That angered me a little bit. You know, it's just like,
Yeah, it's dumb.
oh, we fucked up, but guess what? I still have my job.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the one who made the decision.
Yep.
It's like, what? Well, the board's got to get rid of you, but the board, a lot of times, it's a boys' club. You know, protect your own sort of thing, right? That's what happens. This is from the Hollywood Reporter. Your source for news in the backlight of Hollywood. Skydance Jurassic World scribe Derek Connolly tackling Sega's, out of all the Sega properties they own, and I know Sonic was a success. It even surprised me how well Sonic did. Doesn't mean, though, you should then jump into an Eternal Champions movie after that. Eternal Champions. What was the last game in the franchise that came out? Was that 96?
Eternal Champions on the Sega CD, which I think was
95?
94 or 95.
I mean, sweet
I will
Lord. Oh, my God.
September 12th, 1994.
Okay. You had a good run. You had a good 14-month run or wherever the two games were. Oh, my God. Unless a Game Gear version came out later on it.
No, I don't think there was a Game Gear version. So, yeah, and it's just like, it's odd because there's no truly memorable characters.
I cannot name you an Eternal Champions
They're all
character.
just like, it's all, the game's all about time travel. So they're just all they're just like, they're stereotypes of that like time period. So there's like a caveman.
Like Time Killers had.
There's a future cop. Yeah, exactly. And
Wait, did they rip off Time Killers? Which one came out first?
I don't know. Eternal Champions, especially the CD version, it is known for being gory. It's got some gory like fatality, like stage fatalities and stuff like that.
Oh, they ripped off Time Killers.
But that's it. Like that's all that game ever really was. And so what do you make a movie on?
And there's stage deaths, right? And as well.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, yeah, the stage fatalities were fairly gory.
That's a good point. Like every other gaming fighting franchise, I could name you one or two characters probably. Eternal Champions, I am struggling.
Blade, I think, is the future cop that knows Kenpo.
Hell, Time Killer's Rancid, the Mohawk chainsaw guy. I know his name, Rancid.
Right.
I know that. That's the most famous character in the game. At least I know that. Damn it, you ripped off Time Killers. That came out first.
So yeah.
Oh my God.
Anyways,
I don't know. Be happy you got Sonic, I guess, and that's like the one that broke out in the pop culture. Like it can't happen all the time. Eternal Champions.
Yeah, no.
Geez, they had a problem making they can't even make a follow-up Mortal Kombat movie. That one came out like 3 years ago already. The first one. I heard nothing about the sequel.
yeah, there's supposed to be another.
Like what happened there? So weird. All right. See, I kept it short. You know what's awful? DRMing hardware. Well, 10 years ago or so on the CU podcast, I talked about my horrific journey trying to get a Canon printer,
yeah.
a brand new unopened Canon printer that I purchased at a yard sale. And then I waited like a year or two and tried to, take out the box and install it. And it was DRM'd to the pack-in starter ink cartridges that were dated for expiration. And because of that, I had a brand new printer that I had to chuck in my dumpster. I called customer service. They were flummoxed. Very nice lady, like, tried to help me out, but there was no solution. I said, can you send me starter cartridges that I could use that are not out of date? And she said, no, but you can try going to a store that could have old stock. But I explained to the lady, but those cartridges will be out of date.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I laughed in confusion and frustration and then went and threw out my brand new printer. Thank God I didn't pay full price. I paid like $40 for it.
Yeah.
But the point is this. DRMing hardware is fucking insane and should be illegal. Like, I probably could have sued Canon if I got a lawyer. And it was like, oh, you can probably sue them because this doesn't sound legal. You bought the hardware and now you can't use it because you waited too long? What? Yeah. So anyway, speaking of WASD and mouse control, Logitech threw this out there before the massive backlash where the CEO or one of the higher-ups said that, hey, people might like having a mouse with a subscription attached to use the mouse. Something no one in the world has ever asked for.
No. Just stop making everyday appliances.
What the hell?
connect to Wi-Fi for no reason. Like Anova is a company that is well known for making sous vides, which are basically heaters with a circulator that heat water to a temperature, and they keep it at that temperature for cooking. You can do various types of cooking with it. And they released one like 8 years ago that had Wi-Fi connectivity to an app for no fucking reason. And they just announced this week that they're going to start charging $2 a month to use that app. Like, it's insane. We don't like our fucking appliances do not need to be connected to the internet for any reason.
Well, the new fridges have to. The smart fridges.
Right, it's fucking dumb.
Did you hear about that when they had that crash, all that software about a month ago? Remember there was that crash, and then like people couldn't open.
CrowdStrike, I think it was that. Yeah,
people literally couldn't open their refrigerators because the lock was on it, and they couldn't get into the software to unlock their fridge.
Oh yeah, I read about that.
They blue screened their refrigerators. That's not even a joke.
No. And there was also one where like it turned off. Like it just turned, even though it was plugged in, it turned off, I think, because of the software problem.
Or something
so even though it was plugged in, it wasn't refrigerating the food. Because I saw someone online being like, I can't open my fridge, but they were saying because all the fucking cold air is going to come out and we don't know when this is going to come on and my fridge will not turn on.
Oh, that's fun times.
Yeah, absolutely fucking idiotic.
This is what the CEO said last month. Haneke Faber for the so-called Forever Mouse said she was claiming that a Logitech engineer was developing a mouse that would be so good you'd never want to get rid of it. Faber likened it to a high-quality watch where age doesn't matter, provided you put in the right maintenance and care. You know what never had a subscription? A watch. You can just buy a nice watch and wear it, and yeah, every 10...
but I guarantee you there are some watches with subscriptions right now, though.
Yeah, and every 3 or 4 years or whatever it is, you got to swap out the battery. Watch. But a battery's not a subscription. A power source is not a subscription. This is nuts. This is nuts. We cannot allow this. The same way we cannot allow surge pricing when that was suggested for like fast food. Like, no, there's no such thing as surge pricing. You can't alternate the pricing of food. You know, it's bad enough that McDonald's, doubled their prices in the past 10 years. You see that? They like doubled their prices the past 10 years. They were tracking all the fast food prices, and McDonald's was way over any form of inflation. Like
one of the examples they used, though, that study was on was from like the most expensive McDonald's.
Sure.
But they still, their prices are, I don't think it's truly doubled, but they're among the worst in terms of...
But you see my point, though.
Oh, yeah. They're among the worst in terms of the price.
This is left-wing Patrick talking. If they can get away with it, they will get away with it for something like that. And then say like,
you can't let them get away with it.
And then say like, well, we didn't know, our Big Mac went up $4 in the past 2 years. It's because of inflation. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
They're making shit up.
Yep.
Sorry, well, that should have been a character in the show, Left Wing Patrick. That's actually funny.
You know where prices aren't going up?
Where's my Che Guevara shirt? Sorry, Ian.
I was going to say, you know where prices aren't going up?
Where are they not, Ian?
UltimateNintendo.com.
I was going to say, you know where you don't need a subscription? UltimateNintendo.com.
Sure, that one would have been great, too.
You can get
put that one in the back pocket.
That's right, for next time. For next time we have a DRM Logitech mouse story. You get RBI baseball stickers, CU podcast, and Pat enamel pins. You can get DVDs and Blu-rays, not for resale. And Ian, you can also pre-order this thing next to me. I don't think you saw it in person yet.
No, I didn't.
You can get a CERN N64 guidebook and pre-order that in person. You want to hold it, Ian?
Fuck yeah! Look at that guy.
Look at that little guy.
Way to go.
You can pre-order that one or the special edition.
Oh ho ho!
Not bad, huh?
You're gonna want to get your hands on these.
Spoilers: Roasters got 2.5 stars. Reviewed by Dale Coulis.
The beauty of design is just...
Can you not be sarcastic about a book that took 4 years of my life?
I wasn't being sarcastic.
That's just because of that. For the rest of the intro, it's going up front here, if I can fit it.
There was nothing sarcastic, Patrick. I was trying to do an endorsement.
Well, it came off very, very shill-like.
I think you're touchy. But
anyway, so these are in the ocean somewhere, coming over for delivery. Why'd you look at my book like that?
Because you said they were in the ocean, and I'm
not in the ocean. They're on the ocean.
About the damage.
They're not. They weren't dumped into the sea. But yeah, so you can order them at ultimatenintendo.com. So there you go. It's going to stay there the rest of the intro. Autofocus be damned on the DSLR there. What's next? Now I'll get rid of it in a second.
Nintendo makes the jump to 3D.
You're reading my copy?
Yeah, I am.
My copy's better than most of the copy we receive.
I would hope so.
That's all Pat copy right there. Copyright Pat. My job I should have got that and writing jingles. What else is happening? I'm going to be at Portland Retro Gaming Expo, next convention I'm going to go to, the end of August. Excuse me, end of August, right? End of September. We had a great time at Long Island Retro Gaming Expo the past about a week and a half ago. That was amazing.
We sure as hell did.
Lots of carbs, lots of pizza, lots of bagels, lots of pastries.
Lots of carbs.
And they were so nice.
Good friends.
They bought Ian a birthday Fudgy the Whale.
They did.
From Carvel.
The people who run that convention are the best of humanity. The best that humanity has to offer. They're wonderful. It's just a fun convention. I say that. I think the thing about this convention is, unlike a lot of other conventions, is if you take advantage of the museum, this is a video game convention you could go to with someone who's not into video games, and I think they would enjoy themselves.
By how well it's set up and accessible.
By how well it's set up and accessible, and how it not only is it in a museum, the big draw of that convention is the free play museum stuff they do, and how it's set up like an actual museum. All the game setups on the second floor that you play, they go in chronological order. It's set up like a museum. There's more to do at this convention than just shop and see panels. You can actually learn stuff there. And I think that is kind of what, to me, makes it a convention that I think someone who's not, someone who knows the video games but is not super knowledgeable on them, I think they would enjoy themselves.
There's also the amazing bagels and Italian pastries.
All the food is fucking phenomenal. And every year they do the eggplant on Sundays, and
it's a dream, right?
I love it, and it's funny too, because I'm talking to Courtney there about the eggplant, and she knows I love it. I was excited about it, and Frank was there with us, and Frank goes, yeah, he's not joking. Like, I stayed with him for Comic-Con a couple weeks ago, and he was already talking about the eggplant.
Not my Frank Cifaldi.
Frank Cifaldi. He was already talking about the eggplant. So around that same time, I look at my phone and I realized I'd missed a call from my mom because it was on my birthday. So I called my mom. And she's like, happy birthday, what's going on? And I was like, I'm at Long Island Retro Gaming, that convention I do. And she goes, oh, is that the one with the eggplant? So it's just, I guess I really do like that eggplant.
Well, you can get a version of that here, but it does not taste the same.
No, it wouldn't. Why would I do it? Why would I do that when I can have it the right way once a year?
I would say, why do you have pizza out here when you can wait to go back east and have it? Well, like I said, I went back to Maruca's in the Jersey Shore. It was the best pizza I had in forever.
Yeah.
It ruins me for pizza out here.
The pizza we had, I think this year, was from Diana's, was quite good. Chicken roll was...
I recommended the chicken roll. Did I say you're wrong?
I talked about it on Extra Napkins.
Pat does not
Check
steal
out
wrong.
Extra Napkins. I talked about the chicken roll, and I said Pat nailed it.
You didn't know what it was. I explained the joy of the chicken roll to you and Frank.
Better than the sum of its parts. Yes. Just a very simple thing that's so tasty.
It's like a dumbed down chicken stromboli, but it's amazing. Yeah. With a little mozzarella around there. You dip it in the marinara.
Yeah.
This is a big boy, isn't it, in this book?
It is. It's huge.
I'm huge.
Hefty.
Nintendo is opening a museum early October in Kyoto.
Looks awesome.
They did a Nintendo Museum Direct. I thought it was humorous on Twitter. They had to come out and say, we're doing a direct about a new museum that has nothing to do with the new Switch console or new console. Like, the fact is people would
They've said that prior to two Nintendo Directs now, because they said that during the last one.
Can you relax out there? Nintendo's not going to make it a secret that when they announce a new console, you're going to know about it.
Right.
It's not going to be like, oh, by the way, after we announce our museum, we're doing a new console. Don't worry. You're going to know. I know you're anxious out there. I know it's been freaking 8 years since the console came out, or 7.5 years, almost 8 years. You're going to get a new console. Even though Nintendo doesn't need to, because they're going to surpass the PS2 in lifetime sales soon on a console. Apparently, they're getting close. It's insane. This is how long this console. This is by far their longest lasting console. Like, it has been close. Who would have thunk, right?
Yep. So
Anyway, so doing a museum.
yes, they're doing a museum. They did a brief, I think it's like a 13-minute direct is the entire video, and they go through and show it.
With good old Shigeru Miyamoto.
And it looks like it's going to be great. And it's so right now the tickets are a lottery in October, but I'm going to enter myself in that lottery for a few days when we'll be in Kyoto, and just hope that we are able to get tickets, because it looks great. All sorts of interesting things there, leaning into not just their video game history, but their overall history with the batting machines, and there's even
all the toy stuff they had.
Yeah, and the one thing I thought that looked really cool.
Love hotels.
Is they you can make your own Hanafuda cards, and then they'll teach you how to play the game, which I think is really kind of neat. That's a cool touch. But yeah, it looks awesome.
It's $22 US to enter, about $22.72. Yes, the yen has gotten slightly stronger in the past month. Still nowhere near to what it was before. It's still very cheap compared to the dollar.
Yeah.
And a lot of the reason for that, not to give you a reason why the Dow semi-crashed a couple weeks ago, is because Japanese yen was super cheap. They were basically giving out free money for loans forever.
Japanese stocks crashed real quick and bounced back too. Yeah.
So basically, what happened was like they were just giving away their money, devaluing their own money to give out loans to the world, and they're basically going to put an end to that. It sounds like at some point, if they haven't already. So that's basically what caused the tumult. For that.
Got it.
So people were blaming everyone, blaming the administration for a Japanese stock market crash. It's like, dude, the one of my if you follow me on my non-gaming Twitter, I said, unless you're retiring tomorrow, don't worry. And guess what? It's bounced back already.
Oh, yeah.
Like it comes back. Don't worry about it. Don't try to politicize every little thing that happens when it has to do with economics. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. They have a museum exhibit that shows all the games, Ian. That's what I was. What's that? What's wrong?
No, just we wandered off, and then you snapped right back.
I have a very wandering mind today. I have 2015 Pat energy right now. It's very manic. They had a great display of all their old games, different versions for like the black box games lined up next to each other. They had like all three Donkey Kong versions and things like that. And like, hey, here's tennis, but here's the international version, and here's the family. And the first thing I thought, wow, they don't have any nice copies of some of these games. Like I was just surprised. Sure. And it was interesting. I didn't expect them to have sealed games on display, because that would show the game in a hermetic seal, and that's not the point of having these games. The point is to open them and play them and show them being used. But like their Famicom Donkey Kong was so beat up, I felt like I can probably find one on eBay right now in better condition than that. That's just the first thing I thought of. I just thought it was silly, some of the condition of that. But maybe they don't have a nice open copy laying around for some of this stuff.
Or maybe it was like someone's copy. I don't know. Do they like?
Yeah, I don't know how they source like all the board games they showed for the toys. So the cool thing about it, they had like the same way you go to PRGE and they show like a 1982 bedroom. They had an old Japanese bedroom, how it would look like in '83 playing the Famicom, which is amazing. And then they had their Nintendo pitching machine that you could use, and Miyamoto swinging and hitting wiffle balls against this stuff in this room, and I'm like, what is he doing? Why? That seems weird. And then you realize it's a shooting gallery, but for hitting wiffle balls, and things interact when you hit them with the ball. Then I'm like, this is brilliant. This is why Nintendo is the GOAT, because they can think of these weird things that you would never have thought of to do with their old, 50-year-old wiffle ball product that no one knows about. You know what I mean? Like, it's brilliant. Then, of course, making your own Hanafuda card, which is cool.
I just think it's cute.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's nice. And the giant controllers to play stuff.
Yeah.
Like they have the giant controllers set up to look like an NES Classic Edition. The giant Wiimotes they have. Very museum-ish stuff that Nintendo's doing. It's almost surprising they haven't done it before.
And it looks very sharp in there, too.
Very sharp?
Very sharp. Very smart. Clean.
Well, something my uncle would say. You look very sharp in that outfit. You look sharp.
I like that term.
Very clean. Well, no one's been in there yet.
I'm just saying the design. Like the design is sharp. It's clean.
No cobwebs yet.
Smart looking.
So you're going to check that out, Ian, if you can get on the...
Well, that's what I was saying. If we can win the lottery, then yes. Absolutely.
I have to imagine for the first few months it's going to be tough to get there because of all the people, all the tourists.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be nuts.
So that'll put... I mean, Kyoto was already one of the bigger cities in Japan. It was second largest or third largest, but, people are going to go there regardless. That's one of the places I would go. What else is going on, Ian?
Well, this is more your speed, but...
My speed? Yeah. Why is it my speed?
because there was a NWC gold cartridge auctioned off through Golden.
This is the first public auction. See, this broke right after our last CU podcast. We watched the terrible Golden auction show on Netflix.
Oh God, I had already completely removed that.
That was
from my
gone from your
brain.
memory.
Yeah, now it's back. Thanks.
Extracted like a next generation.
No, it was just clean cut out and removed. I would.
It looked like I was crazy. Like, what are you talking about? So, this is not the gold NWC cart that they showed in that episode when they visited the seller, who has a shenanigan type relationship with WADA. I'll just say that. This is the first public sale of one that I know about in like 10 years and it's a labelless one. Unlike the one I have here, that I'm going to show you for comparison, that I did go and get out of the bank vault, Ian.
You gonna show me what one with a label looks like compared to one without a label?
You can hold it, Ian. Are you afraid to hold it?
No, I'm good.
So here's one with the label right here. You were like literally looking like you were afraid.
Love those cases though. Very sharp looking. Very smart.
I was the first person to get an NES cartridge case created because they didn't exist before I got one for the gray cart, which is also here because it's in the same thing. So these are VGA cases. But at the time, they were not doing cartridges, so I had to measure it out myself and send it for a custom. Back in 2000, when did the gray deal? 2010.
Yeah, I honestly have no idea.
So this is a gold one with the label. Look how cheap the label is, first of all. It's just paper. It's like a printer paper, right? Yeah. It's not special.
No, it looks like the type of thing that over time would literally just fall off.
But thankfully mine hasn't. You can see the glue marks on the edge. It looks like that's like is it like a super glue on the edge or is it like a paste? I think it's like a super glue. It's tough. It's tough.
I don't know.
So here's the point.
It's a glue.
It's a glue. Elmer's not.
We
It's not
can
Elmer's
say that.
glue. So I guess the point is this: is that this one, the label and glue residue was like sheared off. There's no residue on this one. Almost like it was done on purpose by someone had to like scrape it off. You know what I mean? Like they scraped it off.
Like it came off and someone used an alcohol swab or whatever.
To get the rest off.
Yeah.
This has progeny to the original owner before anyone says, hey, this could be a fake. Like maybe it's a gray one with a Zelda shell, which is always the way you could try to fake one without the label. Or even with the label, since I've created a false label for the AVGN video for that one. So this went...
Yeah, something that looks that bootleg, you could fake a label, no problem.
So this ended up going, the one without the label, with the buyer's premium for $207,400. That was below my estimate. I told people privately I thought it would go for around $250-ish, I thought. So I don't know if this is good or bad for anything, but it's just interesting because the last public sale before this was about $26,000. The last public one, that last eBay one from like 2015 or so, whenever it was, around there, or 14, it was something like that. And there hasn't been any other ones that have been come up, and there's been private sales here and there that I hear murmurings of for them, but that's about it.
It's I don't know. It's odd to think about it, especially with all of the graded and sealed game stuff going on, because while this could certainly have a bump from noise around it, it's also very much it's genuinely limited and has a has a historical significance to it. Sure. Although I would argue the gray card is much more historically significant.
Yes, because that was the ones used in.
Right.
Well, technically the boards were used and cannibalized for the gold one.
Right.
So, but yes,
but yeah, so I think there is definitely some genuine value there that is less likely to be shaken by a fickle collector's market. But the fact that people like to say that, well, with stuff like this, condition doesn't matter.
That's what Mr. Golden said in his little video.
Yeah, I don't think that's true.
Yes.
I don't think that's true. I think I don't think someone who owns one without the label has diminished their collection. I just think that obviously, if there are versions of this that have a label, there are people out there who will pay more for that version.
Yes, this is it's a weird thing that the first one that comes out is the worst one you can get.
Yes. Okay. That's that's a much better way of saying what I was trying to say, is that it's hard to gauge it because it's been so long. And then this is a uniquely bad copy.
Someone shared with me that there could be a second one without a label, but I always knew there was one at least.
Oh, I meant to ask you that because literally I'm surprised that these aren't just falling off.
Well, they're glued on though.
Yeah, but the glue doesn't last forever.
Well, I mean, but if you glue it, it looks crazy glue-esque. It's because it's not white globby. It's like clear hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I can get my finger and test the glue, but I don't think it's worth the risk.
Seems unnecessary.
But you can literally see the fact that, like, on the left side, there's a little bit of white where they didn't bother to cut around it, but on the right side they did. So these were just printed off and they cut around it with scissors.
Oh yeah, they're hand cut.
They're hand cut. They're cheaply hand cut. So you can actually, what's weird about grading these is then at some point, what are you grading? So, like, for example, like, they did a great job on mine cutting around the oval on the right there. You know, it's a diagonal cut. Is there one that's cut though better, where there's more of the red oval? How weird can you get when something's handmade?
They could grade the luster on the cartridge.
The luster.
Well, no, I say that though because
like how shiny or how diminished or scratched it is.
A lot of those cartridges, like gold carts that come in, that would come into Luna, would be in good shape, but there were definitely tons where the gold is coming off in huge amounts.
Like the gold in the corners is a little bit nicked from it being tossed around. So this is what I'm gonna say about this. As a personal owner, if I ever had to sell one, am I happy or care about? Yeah, of course. It's like, yeah, if it went for only 20,000, I'd be like, well, that's kind of weird. But the fact that it was golden, who does not have a good rep for auctioning this stuff in general, and the fact that this was a pop culture, this was part of a pop culture series of things where they only had like 3 or 4 video game items. It was thrown in as a hodgepodge. Where they should have, if they really wanted to maximize the attention, it should have been part of like, hey, this is our premium, video game series, auction series that we're doing, and not just throwing it in next to other unrelated crap. To me, that's a mistake to do that, especially when it's the most coveted video game that's out there. Not saying it went for that much more, but you're like, it's something even Heritage Auctions wouldn't do.
I get what you're saying. I just think with something as big as this, it probably did not matter. Anyone who was in the market for one was tuning into this to watch it and bid. I do. It's dumb, and I get what you're saying, and because pretty much anything else that wasn't as doesn't have the notoriety that this does, that would have probably hurt it. Because
it was like a first print or early print Legend of Zelda that was sealed, which that went for. Boy, if Danielle's out there, I feel bad because that game keeps dropping. But when this is part of a pop culture auction, I guess I'm nitpicking because this isn't. It's pop culture in that it's Nintendo, but the item itself is not pop culture. Like I'm like sort of like splicing hairs. It should have been part of this.
If you were auctioning off a sealed first print Mario or whatever, that would make more sense. This less so.
This was a giveaway in Nintendo Power magazine that most people forgot about.
Pop culture of the era, but yeah, not even
of the era, because again, it was a giveaway. It was like if you didn't have Nintendo Power, you never would have knew it was a thing.
Sure.
Even if you knew about the Power Fest. Unless you got that issue of Nintendo Power, you never would have known it existed.
Yeah,
you just wouldn't. It was like largely forgotten about collectors until the one guy, Dream TR, started finding out where they were, and that's how he got like 7 or 8 of them.
Right,
when he contacted people because they listed them. If they didn't list those winners in the magazine, whatever that was, several months later, none of them would have been tracked down, or almost none of them.
Right,
like there would be no way of knowing what they were. So anyway, yeah. So 207 with the premium, 170 before. If you want to splice hairs with it, it only got, I think, 1 or 2 extra bids. It got to 160 before the premium before the auction. Then once it hit the auction, it only got 1 or 2 bids because it only went out 10,000. I thought that was very strange. Someone then told me that Golden is weird and that you have to pre-bid in order to bid again once the final auction period opens up, which I never heard
you were
before.
trying to explain that to me, and it didn't make any sense. Just
because you're it's good that you're raising the value beforehand, but then you're killing your potential buyers. What if someone did find out about it late?
Right.
Maybe they'd be screwed or didn't know about it. So anyway, it's really weird, and I just have a couple of thoughts on it. If I personally owned this one, I wouldn't have gotten it graded because you know it's not going to score well without the label.
Sure.
Did someone that owns this going to keep this in a 4.0 case? Like, what's the point at that point? What's the point? It's authenticated, it has progeny. Does it make sense to put a repro label on there? It's obviously a repro. I have no idea. But
right.
it does not present well because without having the label on it, you don't know what the hell it is. Like, it's not a showpiece for people. Why do you have a Nintendo game Ian over there that's a Zelda card without a label? Like, now I gotta explain to people, well, it did have a label
right
at some point, but they took off the label, so now it's worth 100,000 less because that cheap label's gone. So anyway, that's my thoughts on that. Well, you think? I think this will kick up some other copies for sale, or no?
No, I think it's probably going to be a little while before we see another one. I don't think it's going to convince anyone who's sitting on one right now to go and test the market.
It creates a weird floor of, hey, the worst case one went for 200. Mine has the label, so it has to be worth at least this much. That's what probably some private people will probably be thinking. Because I was told by someone in the know that knows the people that have bounties on them that someone would probably pay $300 to $400 with the label.
Yeah, I think I would just expect it to be at least another year. Because what if one comes out with a label on the other hand that doesn't sell for much more?
Sure, but it'd be guaranteed to sell for more than this.
Sure.
It's just like, was it 50 more? Is it 100 more? Like, that's the thing. It's so weird. Well, there's only 13 of them. So, this is a stupid thing I'm going to talk about real quick. So the reason why you didn't see a Mario and Sonic at the Olympics, like you typically do every 4 years, fun little games, right?
I enjoy them. I love track and field and Olympic style games. Always have.
Well, the article doesn't work anymore for some reason.
Yeah, I noticed that. That upset me. Like, I was.
Let me see if I can find it. So basically, the Olympics has to obviously license out their games that say Olympics on them. The Olympics Committee has a long line of buffoonery themselves when it comes to corruption and payoffs to get lots of fun history with Olympics stuff there.
International sporting in general, FIFA
was a big one.
The Olympics, like all of that stuff, there's always some sort of shadiness.
So the reason why you didn't see that is because of other articles here. They'd rather go in the mobile game direction and NFT games. That was one of their decisions. Oh, they had NFT pins as well. I'm sure those sold well. Looking at a press release from June.
It's insane to me that something that is supposed to be on, the cusp of one thing, athletics and stuff like that, can be so far fucking behind on something like that. Like, no one told them that NFTs were 2 years ago.
They probably got a good deal.
Or they probably started planning it 2 years ago and, worked it into all of their plans.
This is from Olympics.com, your source for Olympics news. I'll put the link for you. You can access it real quick here. This is super annoying. So instead of getting, let's not put a game out, Ian, on the most popular video game console of the past, 25 years, not counting the PS2, which, got a lot of sales at the end, but it wasn't as strong at the end. Let's come out with Olympics Go. Olympics Go, Paris 2024, a mobile game that they put out.
Yep.
This innovative game is a hybrid. They spelled casual wrong. The Olympics spelled casual wrong in their press release. Hybrid causal sports and simulation title. You gotta be fucking kidding me, Olympics. Good thing there wasn't a grammar and spelling medal. Oh my God. That merges city building elements with the sports events. City building elements? How many empty stadiums can we build that are cost the city $10 billion that won't be used 5 years from now? Wait, spoilers, because that's what happens in a lot of these cities.
So this doesn't mention any. This article doesn't mention any NFTs in the game, but the game does look awful. And what a missed opportunity to have Mario and Sonic breakdancing.
There you go. Even though that was an only experimental game, that's not going to come back. At least that would have been fun.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and that's also the problem. Like this would have been the year to do it.
But let's just say this. I don't know how much money they get from licensing the Olympics to Nintendo to do it, but you have to imagine you're making some money I don't know if you only sell 100,000, 200, 300, 400,000. You have some revenue coming in that at least looks good for your brand because it's Nintendo, right? It's Nintendo, the Disney of video games, versus some shitty mobile game that no one even heard of until I told you about it.
Oh, yeah.
On the podcast.
And I was wondering why there wasn't a Sonic and Mario at the Olympic Games this year. I was
now you know.
Wondering it. I'm gonna have to go back and play the Switch version from 2020.
I mean, they did what, 4 of those?
I think they did 2 summer and 2 winter. I think.
Going back to the Wii, or is what
going back to the Wii? Yes.
It's bizarre. Because I don't think Nintendo would turn them down. They probably would think, oh, this is cool, whatever, we'll do it. Anyway, so that's the Olympic Committee right there, and NFT shit, just awful. Well, hopefully in 2028, when it's back here in LA for the first time in 44 years, that'll be fun. My Frank is Jones and Fork. He gets to see wrestling in person.
Wrestling in person? When? Oh, for LA, yeah.
4 years.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll go to it. It's kind of, not to say it won't be. Let's put it this way: for my first time seeing the Olympics, it would have been nice to see it internationally versus in LA. LA is not that historic. I know people are going to kill me for that. Our pal Alex would be like, LA is super historic, and I'll say, what, the Hollywood sign? I don't care. That's the best you got. That's not the same as all these other cities that are 1,000 years old. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no, no, it's not it. But no, it'll be fun seeing in LA. I'll make it up there. I'll see some fencing.
So Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, the first one was Beijing. Then they did London, Rio,
08, 12, 16,
and 2020.
So they did.
And then,
12,
and then
16,
there's,
24.
so they did those, and then there's 2 Winter Olympic Game ones. One was 2009, and the other one was Sochi, so 2014.
So 6 games total.
Yeah.
They did. So,
and it says the last 2 were in arcade as well.
Oh, interesting.
You have to look into that because I'm not so sure, but that's interesting.
A lot of those newer arcade Nintendo.
Yeah, no, I mean that's kind of interesting.
Speaking of Alex Fasciani, he's now helped me co-host the revival of the Not So Common podcast, Volume 2. Basically, when they redo comics.
V2.
Yeah, we did a few episodes. Check it out, Not So Common podcast with me and Alex. One of the things we talked about the last episode, Ian, was the insane RFK Dead Bear story.
And it is truly fucking insane.
It's like you couldn't make that up.
No.
You could not make that up.
No, that guy is whew, special.
You know who else is special? Tommy Tallarico is special.
Oh, yeah.
He's been in the news a little bit. First, congrats to Tommy. This was alerted on the Intellivision_Amico Reddit subreddit. His house is in contract, which means it's going through negotiations. Someone put an offer on his lovely estate.
What a lovely
in
estate.
San Juan Capistrano. We won't know the final price until it closes. Then it's all public knowledge on the MLS for that. But he also he won an intermediate backgammon tournament.
Yes.
Not advanced, not beginner. And he did. What's significant about that is, like, who cares? Let him play it. Is that he did an interview afterwards where he just lied in it about how long he was playing backgammon.
Oh, yeah, because it completely contradicted what he had said on stuff like Atari Age when, yeah. Because you can't trust anything that comes out of Tommy's mouth.
Yeah, so he went from saying, oh, yeah, I used to play backgammon my whole life, to I've only been playing a couple of years. I just sort of started playing backgammon and I won a tournament. It's like, no, it's not how that works.
Right.
You know, unless you're like some weird backgammon genius. And then the weird part is that he acknowledged the meme of mother being very proud, or he said, my mother's proud. And he like winks at the camera during the interview to like almost like wink at his haters. Which, by the way, during his match and during the live interview stuff, stream,
I told
they
you
cut off the comments, right?
Yeah, he specifically requested that comments be cut off for his games because he's terrified. He's a scared little baby.
Well, you know, I don't want to harass someone playing backgammon tournaments, but you know,
no, but it shows that he's well aware of his social standing.
Yes,
in the world.
Yes, it's below pond scum. At this point, we know that. Other than that, and any other Amico news, CFO and prairie dog hunter Nick Richards changed his company's current employment. So there's a cutoff date for his being employed by Intellivision on his LinkedIn. So that was also alerted on the subreddit there. So,
And there's really nothing else to talk about regarding the Amico because it's just dying. It's a slow death.
they wrung it dry.
Slow.
All the IP is gone. All the games are gone. You know, Atari got everything but 2 games, Astro Smash and Shark, which went to the company in Germany. And that's basically it. It's just a slow, pathetic death. There's no way else they can possibly, I believe, make money on this unless they do some weird licensing of the modern games made for this console and someone wants to come out with them. I think that's it. I think that's pretty much it at this point when it comes to the Amico. And I guess whatever app sales happen on the games, like that's basically it. It's done.
Yep.
It's a slow death.